All right, so if you know you can hear me, just give me, put in a 1 in the chat. All right, if you know you can hear me properly, just put in a 1 in the chat. I'd like to know if we are good to go. All right. Okay, I'm not sure we can. All right, so I can see a response already. Awesome, awesome. All right, awesome. I can see Ayola. Awesome. Hello, everyone, once again. Welcome to today's session. Today, we are going to be looking at a very amazing topic on employee engagement. So we're going to see how to track employee engagement and create a survey to track this process, create an automated process to send it into your Google Sheet, and then to create a dashboard in Power BI, all right? So that's all the process that we're going to be taking through today. But before we get started, I would like to know where each of us are joining from. So if you can, just put that into the chat and let's get to meet each other, all right? So just type your name and where you are joining us from. All right. Okay. So just type your name and where you're joining us from so we can get to meet each other and have a very much interactive session. All right, so I can see Ayola from Akwa Ibom. Ayola, nice to meet you. Okay. Damilola from Scotland. Okay, I can see Oluwaseun from Lagos State. Awesome, awesome. Cynthia from Abuja. Wow. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you guys. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So I'll go ahead and start our session for today. So let's look at our topic and what we are going to be doing today. All right, so feel free to drop questions in the chat and ask and be as engaging as possible, all right? So that this session will be as interactive as possible, okay? Okay, so today we are going to be looking at a topic on employee engagement, where we'll be building an analytical solution using our Google form and Power BI. So we're going to see how to connect these processes together using a survey, a well-structured survey to gather information from employees. And from that, we are going to be building a dashboard. This dashboard is going to be automated, obviously, helping us to gather even more information as the process goes by. All right. So before we get started, I would like to understand the company that we are with today. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Tenalytics. All right. So Tenalytics is an edutech company helping Africans and people of the Black community to learn premium tech skills and lowering the barrier into tech. Our services are aimed at building capacity and understanding across different tech fields, including data analytics, business analytics, data engineering, data science, financial analytics, and HR analytics, and the entire data ecosystem to enable our clients to achieve data-driven decision-making. So our facilitators are top professionals from diverse sectors and reputable organizations like Apple, Microsoft, McKinsey, and Amazon, PwC, Deloitte, KPMG, Sahara Group, P&G, Google, Coca-Cola, etc. So our courses are structured in a way that makes it practical, and ensures that you get optimal value. So let's get to meet our founders, all right? So first of all, we have Adeiza Suleiman. Adeiza Suleiman is the founder of Tenalytics. He's a data analytics expert, a data science consultant in the UK and US. He's a data analyst, business performance, and he has worked as a data analyst and a business performance consultant in Sahara Group. He's also a data analytics consultant and has close to a decade of experience in data analytics and management consulting. He has worked in sports, professional services, edutech, energy, and automobile sector. He has also personally trained over 8,500 participants, helping them to transition into tech. All right, so that's our founder. Let's get to meet our co-founder. All right, so our co-founder is Efemina Ikro. Efemina Ikro is the co-founder of Tenalytics. He's a data science contractor in the UK and US. He's a business data support lead. He has worked as a business data support lead with Post Office UK. He has also worked as a global business system analyst with Teleflex Ireland. He has worked as a business intelligence developer at DPD Ireland and has experience in data analytics, data science, data engineering, and power platform development. He's a data analyst with close to a decade of experience cutting across multiple sectors in the industry. All right, so that's it for our co-founder and our founder. Let's get to meet our facilitators for today. All right, so we have here Oluwadamilola. Oluwadamilola is the head of training and operations at Tenalytics. Okay, she has over 5 years of experience in data analytics and data science, working on high-level projects alongside C executives, cutting across NGOs, education, finance, and technology sectors. And there you have myself, Mary. Mary Anene is a senior data associate at Tenalytics with over 5+ years of experience in data analytics and helped close to 1,000 people transition into tech. Okay, she's an expert in HR analytics and data analytics combined, worked across industries, including national legislative bodies, marketing, NGOs, and education sector. All right, so what are we going to be doing today? Why are we here today? Okay, so we are here today. We are going to be looking at various things, all right? All right, so we're going to be, first of all, we are going to be building an analytical solution in Power BI, all right? Looking at employee engagement survey. Then after that, we'll be looking at how to get started as a HR analyst in the tech industry. And after that, we'll go on to look at our upcoming HR analytics program, which is coming up on the 4th of May. We'll look at our the structure of the growth internship at Tenalytics, look at some success story that will help inspire us like we saw before we got started, and also learn about some special discounts that Tenalytics is offering. All right, so let's get started with our solution for today. All right, so we are going to be looking at our employee engagement. But before we get started and start solving all these problems, let's get to understand what employee engagement is all about. So employee engagement is a concept in human resource that refers to a degree to which employees are invested in, motivated by, and passionate about their work. Okay, passionate about the work they do and the company for which they work for. All right, so employee engagement is very crucial in HR analytics because we want to make sure that the workforce that is being invested in is very much motivated, very much passionate about what they are doing, and as productive as possible. All right, so we want to make sure that our employees are satisfied and in other words, have a very productive and goal-driven work environment. All right. So that is what employee engagement is all about. All right. So now we need to know why employee engagement is important. So we need to know that engaged employees are more productive. Engaged employees lead to higher profits. Engaged employees also stick around longer. All right. So basically, this sums up to productivity, high profit marginalization for the company, as well as having long-serving employees. In other words, having a very good employee retention ratio within the organization. All right. So those are one of the key things why employee engagement is important. All right. So this is just a build up to help us understand exactly what we are going to go to today and why it is necessary for us to actually track these areas in HR. All right. So we're going to move on from there. So here we have the factors, some of the factors that drive employee engagement. All right. We have leadership engagement when we have our managers, our managers have to communicate to their downline to ensure that, yes, they are actually doing the work that they need to do. And if they need guidance, they have to also be there for these individuals, be there for their downlines as well, okay? Another factor that drives employee engagement is job engagement. We need to be sure that these individuals are actually doing their job, they are passionate about it, they have the skill set and the zeal to constantly develop themselves within the organization in terms of training and development and other upskilling processes that would also help them to be very productive in their job roles. All right. Then the next factor that we have here is team engagement. All right. We want to make sure that these employees are as collaborative as possible. All right. So sometimes we also know a particular quote that says teamwork makes the dream work. So we want to make sure that these employees are willing to work together with others in the organization to ensure that we have a productive and well-serving work environment, right? Then organizational engagement. How well are they in terms of helping the organization achieve its goal? How well are they in terms of bringing up new ideas, new information to help the organization grow? So these are the, let's say, the key things that we look at when it comes to employee engagement, all right? Then from here on, we are going to also look at the processes we are going to be taking to achieve all these steps, okay? So as HR analysts, we are going to be working on gathering data for this particular project. First of all, we'll be creating a survey. A survey has already been created, all right, just because of time, okay? We'll walk through it to look at the questions that we're asked, all right? The questions that we're asked to help us gather the necessary information for this analysis. Then we'll look at how we are going to transform this information into a data visualization, all right? So once we get our data ready for visualization, we'll be developing our dashboard. And from this dashboard, we'll be able to generate as many insights as possible, all right? As many insights as possible. Okay, so finally, we have areas to consider when creating an employee engagement survey. So one of the key things that we have here is employee demography. We want to understand what our employees are about, like their profile, okay? So if you know what demography is, it's all about finding out maybe the gender of these individuals, their education level, where they are located, all this information that help us to understand, okay, what exactly is peculiar about this particular set of people, all right? It helps us to easily generalize some characteristics in terms of our analysis. Then the other thing we'll look at is employee commitment, all right? So how committed are you to your job? How committed are you to your role? Another thing we'll look at is motivation, all right? So aside from being committed, are you motivated? Are you willing to go the extra mile for your company, all right? So we want to find out how motivated these individuals are. And after we do that, we'll also measure their job satisfaction. We look at the job satisfaction rate because this is a key area to understand if these employees are actually happy at work and what we as HR analysts can do to ensure that the mood of the workforce is improved, all right? So once we are done with that, we also look at the sense of purpose, right? Are these employees actually feeling fulfilled at work? You know, when an individual is working and they don't feel rewarded, they don't feel recognized, we want to make sure that the workforce that we are dealing with right now are actually purpose-driven. They feel the sense of satisfaction that, yes, they are being seen and their work is being recognized and appreciated by the organization. And also the work they are doing is very much useful for the organization. Then finally, look at growth and development. This has to do with training, right? So most companies provide trainings for their employees to help them upskill or get better at what they are currently doing. All right, so we want to know how this process or how this experience has been for them from the packages or the provisions their companies have made towards growth and development. Lastly, we look at managerial support, all right? So managerial support is a key thing for every organization, and we need to make sure that these individuals are experiencing good mentorship, guidance, and interaction with these managers, all right? So we want to make sure, want to also be able to measure this factor to understand if these employees are actually getting engaged by their managers, all right? So if they're not getting engaged by their managers, this might be a key factor to not having a well-engaged employees. And if we don't have an employee or employees who are well engaged at their work, then we'll have trouble with employee retention. This will lead to attrition, and then we start having issues retaining our workforce, all right? So what's the key reason why we decided to use surveys to gather information today? All right, so I believe using surveys allows us to actually create a system or an anonymous system for employees to put in their honest opinion, right? So when we use surveys like this, like Google Form, right? We allow them to actually answer the questions that has been put out for them honestly, without the fear of, oh, if my manager sees this, he's going to say this, or I might lose my job, or any of those things. All right. So we are using a survey to make sure that we can get an honest feedback. The individuals that are going to respond to this survey can actually tell us exactly how they feel. And as HR analysts, we take this information, analyze it, and generate insights to understand if this workforce is actually happy, look at some factors and attributes, measure some data, and understand that and understand the areas where there is need for improvement, and also where there is need to restructure some policies to ensure that our workforce is as engaged and as motivated as possible. All right. All right, so now that we have a good understanding of what we are going to do, let's get started. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get into our Google Sheets. All right, so I'll go ahead and get into our Google Sheets, Google Form rather. All right, so let's quickly look at some of the questions that we're going to be answering today. All right. Okay. All right, so we're going to be looking at some questions. First of all, what is their job title? We want to know the job role of the employee. All right, this will help us to understand if a particular issue is peculiar to job titles or a particular department in the organization. So finding out the job title of those employees will actually help us to narrow some issues down. We want to also know in terms of employee demography, we look at marital status, level of education, all right? What their gender is. We look at their age groups, all right? And then we look at their work type, whether they are working on site, remote, and all that. Okay, this will also help us to know if the work area or the work environment is an issue for these employees in terms of being able to being able to work within the organization happily. All right. Then after that, we'll look at some key questions, looking at how dedicated these employees are to the organization. All right. So we understand from this, we can understand if they're actually motivated about their work, if they're actually committed to improving in this work, or if they are committed to staying longer in their positions. All right. Then after that, we'll look at a question that says, are you driven to succeed in your role? What is your drive? We want to know if you are actually happy and if you want to actually push in the role that you've been given in that organization. After that, we'll look at our scale. If a scale of 1 to 10, how happy and fulfilled are you in your day-to-day work? This is just a measure of job satisfaction, understanding if this person is actually happy in their role or if the individual is actually happy in the role that they are in within the organization. Then we'll also look at how do you feel your work, how do you feel that your work has meaning or contributes to the ultimate goal of your organization? All right, so we might find out that some individuals are within organizations and still yet they do not have like that job satisfaction that is required of them. They don't have that fulfillment that yes, what they are doing is relevant to the company. Okay, so these individuals might need some kind of attention, all right, some kind of activities created to motivate them and ensure that yes, they are also up to the task and they are also giving back to the organization in a good way. All right, so they don't end up leaving the organization. Okay, and then we're also going to look at, are there opportunities to learn and advance? This question covers career development and growth within the organization. Then do you get support or recognized by your managers? All right, so this particular survey has been distributed to diverse amount of people. It's not something that's peculiar to a particular organization. And after we've developed our dashboard, I will also be sending out the link to this form for each and every one of us to go ahead and fill it out so we can see our responses reflect on the dashboard we are going to be creating today. I hope we are ready. I hope we are ready. If you are ready, just drop a 1 in the chat. Let's know if you are still following so far. Are you ready? Are you ready? Okay. Are we still here? All right. So Chika says she's ready. Certainly. Yeah, ready. Thelma says ready. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So let's get started. Let's get started. All right. So first of all, I would like to just go to our Google Sheet right here. Don't worry, this particular sheet, we are going to be getting the link as well immediately after, once this session is over, all right? So as long as you fill the form in the chat, I think you would definitely get everything, both materials and the recording for this session. So you can also practice as well, all right? So this is our sheet here connected to our form. All right, so every single information being imputed is sent directly to this place. And this is how we are going to be able to get our live data into Power BI, okay? So basically everything that we have on the form is just different responses from different individuals, finding out exactly how they feel about their roles and helping us to measure employee engagement for all these individuals, okay? So I'll go ahead and open up my Power BI, connect our data so we can get started. All right. Awesome. Okay. So let me just go ahead and open up my Power BI report view so we can just bring in our data and get to work. All right, so you are going to get the link just after we finish developing the dashboard, all right? So for the link to fill, for you to get this video or get every other PDF file that we are going to be working on, that we are going to be working with today, you would see a form link being shared across in the group chat. Please go ahead and fill that, all right? So immediately you are done with that, you get all the materials necessary in the email, all right, in your email. Okay, all right, so we can get started now. So the first thing we are going to do here is to bring in our data, all right? We are done with the process of data gathering. So it's time for us to connect our data to our dashboard and also do some data transformation to ensure we are ready to analyze this information, okay? So I'll go ahead and click on Get Data right here and scroll down, okay? So here we have more options. Because we are using Google Sheets, if you look at the first list here, you will notice that we don't have the option for Google Sheet listed as the most common data sources, all right? That means we have to dig a little deeper to get that particular data source, okay? So I'll go ahead and click on more. All right. Okay, so let me just quickly take that step again. All right, so in our Power BI here, went ahead to click on Get Data. All right, went ahead to click on Get Data. I believe we can all see my screen, right? Okay, I'm getting some, we can't see the Power BI screen. All right, all right, all right. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, so we can get started, okay? So the first step we're going to take here in Power BI is to actually bring in our data from Google Sheets. So if we click on this drop down, we'll notice that our most common data sources does not include the option to connect to Google Sheets, right? So how do we go about it? We have an option here that says more, all right? So it means that we're going to still get multiple data sources to connect to. And we're going to get started by clicking on that, more to get more, all right? Okay, so here we are. We have lots and lots of data connectors, all right? So instead of us navigating and scrolling down one after the other, we can just easily go into the search bar here and click on and type in Google Sheets, all right? So that we can just streamline our search and get to it immediately. So I'm not even done typing. We already have our options brought out for us here. So we have different connectors, but luckily for us, we have our Google Sheets right here, okay? So I'll go ahead and click on Google Sheets and I'll click on Connect, okay? So I have to go ahead and connect this Google Sheets to my Google account. So basically the question here is just asking us, are you sure you want to connect to a third-party service? And the answer is yes. So we're going to click on continue. Okay, so we're going to wait for more connection options to come up. And once it does, we'll continue with that. All right, so we have Google Sheets here and it's requesting for the Google Sheets URL. So a lot of us know that Google Sheets is a web-based application and definitely it's going to be working with URL. So we're going to go into our Google Sheet now and copy that particular link, all right? So I'm going to also drop that link in the chat for those of us that want to work along with this, okay? So this is our Google Sheet link here, all right? Remember, we got this particular link or this sheet from our Google form, all right? So I'll copy that link here and I'll also drop it in our chat so that we can also connect with it as well. Okay, so All right, so I believe that's in the chat now. Okay, so I'll go ahead and link this URL to my Power BI. Okay, so here they say Google Sheets URL. So just go ahead and paste your Google Sheets URL right here. Okay, so once you're done with that, go ahead and click OK. That's straightforward as that. Okay. Okay, so we're waiting for that to connect to our web-based URL right now. Okay, so we are getting our data into Power BI right now. So we can see it loading. So once it loads, we'll get a preview of exactly what we are bringing into our Power BI interface. Awesome. So we have our response form here. I'll just select that so I can get a preview of exactly what I'm bringing in. I want to ensure that I'm not bringing in the wrong data. Okay, so if I find out that this is the wrong data, I can just cancel this process and start over again to get data. All right, so I can confirm from the questions in the column that we have the right data set. So we're going to go ahead and bring in our data into Power Query. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and click on transform data. Okay, transform data. And that should take us into an interface called Power Query. Power Query is just a place for us to actually make sure our data is ready for analysis. We can do a lot of transformation, restructuring of data and all that just to get it ready for analysis in Power BI, okay? So we're going to take our time to look at this particular data set once it loads here and ensure that, yes, everything is ready. We have the right data type, we have the right spellings if there's need to change that. Okay, so once we are sure that this data is ready for analysis, we take it into Power BI and work on it. Okay. All right, so here we go. Okay, so I would like to ask a question for those of us that can answer this. Okay, so if you look at this particular data set right now, right here in Power Query, okay, you would notice that we have column 1, column 2, column 3, and all that. Okay, and on the first row, we have some the supposed column headers, right? The supposed column headers. Okay, so we have to make sure that this is in the right place, right? So I don't think that there's need to even ask a question about this. We have to make sure that this particular column header is in the right place. That's the first thing I noticed immediately I brought my data here into Power Query. Okay, so to do that is a very simple step we're going to take just with a click of a button, right? I'll go over to my home tab here and navigate to a transformation tool here, all right? And here we have use first row as header, all right? Very straightforward. And we can just click that and it's applied instantly. Okay, so I'll go ahead and do that on my own end here. And immediately I click that, I should see my data set moving to the right place, right? So here we go. We have our column headers in the proper location, okay? So the next thing I'm going to look at, I'm going to look through all my columns using this column quality profile to analyze if I have empty cells or errors throughout my data. So I'll just scroll through one after the other to ensure that everything is ready for analysis. Okay, so I'll just go ahead. Okay, I can see that we have 100% valid data, 100% valid data, 100% valid data throughout this data set. Awesome, awesome. All right. Okay. All right. So our data set is completely good to go. All right. Another thing you like to note when you're looking at this area is to ensure that you have the correct data type for each column. So if you have text, you want to make sure that your data type is showing as text. If you have numbers, you want to make sure your data type is showing as numbers. Okay. Showing as numbers. All right, so from what I've seen so far, our data set is good to go. But before we go any further, I want to rename this entire table, okay? And to rename that, I just have to come under properties here, okay? And rename this table to employee engagement, okay? Employee engagement survey. Okay, so that's that. We have a new table name and we can go ahead and start and bring in our data into Power BI to start our data visualization. Okay, so I'll go ahead and click on apply to load it into Power BI. Then we can get started. All right, before we get started, I would like to know how many of us have worked with Power BI before? If you have, just drop a one in the chat, all right? How many of us have worked with Power BI? If you've not, just drop a zero in the chat. I want to know how many of us are much familiar with this interface. Oh, zero. I can see Marker says zero. File says one. Jennifer one. Awesome. iPhone one. Emmanuel zero. Thelma 1.5. I don't know what that is, but I hope you can explain later. All right. Olaide 111. Awesome. So we have a lot of experts in the house tonight. Amazing. So I hope you guys are going to get a lot of value from this session. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I love that. All right, so we are going to go on. We are going to wait for this to load. Once it loads, we get started. Awesome. Duku. All right, Rotimi says zero. So don't worry, for those of us that don't have any experience at all, tonight is the time to get some knowledge about Power BI and what Power BI can do. Okay, so just pay good attention and you'll be good to go. Okay. So I'm not sure if it's because of the weight of the data, but we are still getting it loaded into, okay, waiting. Awesome. So we are almost there. All right, so once this is loaded, the first thing we're going to do is to get our template ready. That is our dashboard background, all right, to ensure that we can easily drop our charts in it, okay? So Power BI basically allows us to easily select charts at random and just drop it in the location that we want to visualize, put in the data that we want to see, and then we can get our insights from those data, all right? So we'll see how easy it is to use Power BI and how fast we'll be able to comprehend these processes as well, okay? So once this data loads up, we're going to start designing our background, all right? Just a very simple background. We're going to be working with a dark theme dashboard, and I hope you guys get insights from it as well. All right, so here we go. So the first thing we are going to do is to go over to our visualization panel where we have access to our format page settings, all right? So this format page settings allows us to change the width of and size of our dashboard, as well as the background color, shape, and all that for this particular report view right here, okay? So we'll go ahead and get our canvas background, okay? The first thing I want to do here is just to change the color of our canvas, all right? The color of our canvas. And I'm going to be changing that to a specific color code, all right? I'll just use a specific color code like 232323, okay? So once I've already put in the color code here, and this is supposed to take effect on this background area here, but we can't see anything because we have our transparency here set to 100%. All right, so we want to go ahead and just take that away, all right, to 0%, and then we have our background showing already. Okay, so the next thing I want to do here, just to make sure that our dashboard, the shape and ready to go, we're going to also bring in a shape, all right, to make up the areas where we're going to be placing our charts, all right? So I'll just go ahead here to get my shape. I'll go over to where I have insert, all right? I'll click on this insert tab, and on the insert tab, I have this shape option, okay? Allows me to select whatever kind of shape and bring it into my dashboard, all right? So here we go. I'll just be selecting our rectangle. Okay, so once I click on it, it appears right here on our dashboard. So let me just minimize this. I'll bring this over here. Okay, so I just want to set it properly. All right, so I'll also be changing the color of this visual to black. Okay, so we're working with a dark theme dashboard. I want to make sure that it looks as good as possible. So when you are working on it on your own as well, you can be able to bring out the best in the dashboard, all right? So data visualization is not all about just bringing out insights and recommendation, but ensuring that your end users enjoy using the platform or the reports that you have developed for them, all right? Which is why we are putting these areas into consideration today, all right? So I'm changing the shape, the outlook of the shape here. I'm going to be changing the color as well, like mentioned. All right, so I'll be using a darker background here. I'll just put in that color code 161312. All right, and lastly, I want to make sure that my border is turned off and we have our shadow. Okay, so now we have our first template. I'll just go ahead and expand that, and then we can start bringing in our charts. All right, so basically we've done a survey, and the first thing we want to look at here is going to be the number of people that have actually filled this survey, all right? The number of individuals that have filled this survey, all right? So from our data here, I'm just going to expand this so we can have a good look at it. Let me just bring this out a little. All right, so I believe we can see exactly what is going on here, right? And I want to know if we can give a good insight as to which particular data or which particular column here are we going to use to find out the number of individuals who have imputed responses into this particular survey. All right, let's say we want to find out the number of employees who have given their feedback. All right, what column are you going to consider in ensuring that you get the exact or the correct figure? Do we have an idea of that?
Please, we can't see your screen.
Okay. Are you on the main page or you are somewhere else? All right. All right, so who else cannot see my screen? If you can't see my screen, just put it in the chat right now. So I'll be sure that it's not, because I'm using more than one screen here and I can see the screen showing properly. Okay. So Machiavelli says he can still see the screen, or she can still see it. All right, awesome.
I can't
Okay,
see your screen. Am I the only one?
I believe you are the only one. So please,
Oh.
I don't know if you can join again. Maybe that would help you
All right.
navigate. Yeah. All right, please. Thank you. All right, then. So we're going to go on. All right, we're going to go on. And all right, awesome. Thank you very much for that, Emmanuel. Okay, so now that we are done creating our templates, we want to get into bringing in our visual. And definitely we're going to start by want to know the number of responses that we've gotten so far, all right? Just in case all the employees in the organization have not responded, we can just create a prompt to ensure that these individuals also do that. So first thing we are going to track is our employee head count, all right? So let's go on. I'm just using this card visual right here. Our card visual basically helps us display round figures very effectively and very easy. Okay, so we use it to track major KPIs that help us to make informed decisions within our businesses. So I'm just going to bring this down here just a little bit lower. Okay. And I'll be using what? I'll be using our timestamp today, all right? So in the absence of something as unique as an employee ID for our tracking, although we might not be using employee ID in tracking your staff's information, so you don't know exactly who responded to a particular, who responded to the survey, right? You can make an unbiased decision at the end of the day. And you will say, oh, because this person is this person is that, that is why, all right? So you want to make a general decision for the organization to do what is best for the general staff or the entire workforce, all right? So in the absence of that, we are going to use a timestamp. That is when each of these individuals actually responded, all right? So this timestamp will help us get the unique value of the respondents of in the form that we or in the data that we just collected, all right? So I'll go ahead here. Let me just go to where we have our field to see exactly where this should go, all right? So I'm going to select this chart, this column header here, just by clicking on this box, all right? You can see that white box right there beside it. So immediately I click it, the first thing is going to bring out is going to be our dates, right? The timestamp, as I spoke about, the date and the time which this form was actually filled and submitted, okay? So instead of us looking at it like that, we're going to apply an aggregate function called the count function. The count function is going to count each row that contains information, all right? Each row that actually contains information, not null values, but actual information. So we're going to go ahead and get that, okay? So you can see here, the first thing it brings out is our date, showing us the earliest timestamp for this particular form. But what we want is what the distinct count. We don't want repeated values, we want unique values. When did this, how many people have filled this form? How many inputs do we have collected so far? So I'll go ahead and use these distinct counts. And this distinct count is going to give us our sum, all right? So we have a total of 40 responses from this form, all right? So the first thing I'm going to do here is to go ahead and rename this particular card visual. And to do all of that, or to format it entirely, to do all of that, I have to go into this format your visual, right? So it gives us access to areas where we can modify our charts and make it look as standard as possible, all right? So I'll go to my callout value here, and I'm going to be changing this font size first of all. I'll be reducing that by 10, that's 45 to 35. I'll be changing my font colors to white because I'm going to be taking out the backgrounds that we have here, okay? Same thing here as well, change that to white. Okay, we'll go to my general and turn off background. All right, so that's that for that. The next thing I want to do is to change that particular information, that header value right there. All right, so to do that, we're going to go back here where we have our field name, right? I'll just double click here and I can easily change that to head count. All right, so we have head count. The head count is 40 right now. Okay, so let me just do my final modification here, and then we can duplicate this particular visual and look into our employee satisfaction. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to copy this, Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V. So copying it basically just helps us save time and save the exact format that we've worked with previously. All we have to do is just change the data that is inside of it and we are good to go. All right, so this time around, we are going to look at our employee satisfaction. Our employee satisfaction is a measurable column because we have it in numerical value. Okay, so the question that represents employee job satisfaction is the one that asks is on the scale of 1 to 10, how happy and fulfilled are you with your day-to-day work? Okay, so that's exactly what we are going to use here. So I'll just uncheck this information and check this cell. All right, so by default, the first aggregate that Power BI is going to generate for us is the sum function. But here we want to look at the average. The average gives us the accurate information that we need So I'll just go ahead and click on that and select average. All right. So once I select average, we have the actual information. So when we are looking on a scale of 1 to 10, we know exactly where we are. So in the organization as a whole, we are on 7.8, all right? On the scale of 1 to 10, we're on 7.8. So we are still above average, which is very good, all right? Although there's still room for improvement, all right? Where we can find ourselves in 9 point something as an organization, making sure that all employees feel very engaged, appreciated, and well-driven at work. Okay, so now that we are done with this, next thing I want to do is to rename this so that when my stakeholders look at it, they understand exactly what that particular visual represents. All right, so you can see the name is very long right now. So at first view, you won't be able to understand what is going on. So I'll just go ahead and that's average job satisfaction. Okay, we can enter and we have that right here. All right, so now that we are done with that, we're going to move on to the next thing, which is to start bringing in our visual. We want to see managerial support distribution, all right? We want to know if the responses that we've gotten so far, if our managers are actually doing a good job or not, all right? So let's quickly visualize that. And we're going to be using a donut chart to visualize that. Okay, so I'll bring in our donut chart. Want to know how well our managers are treating the employees in our workforce. So I'll just minimize this here. Okay. All right, so here the information we'll be needing is the question that has to do with our managers. So we want to look for the question that says, do you get support and recognition by your manager? All right, so we're going to click on that. That's the first thing we want to look at. So that's going to take up the legend as well as the value of our data. So I'll be replicating it twice. The first one is going to give me the text representation, that's the descriptive information in our data. And the second one is going to give me the exact count of each of these responses, all right? So we can see all the responses here. I'll do a little bit of modification. So this is much more clearer and easier to read. All right, starting with the title that we have here. I'll just work on that very quickly. So we have our legend, just turn that off and change some of the colors that we have here. So I'll go with a different color here for orange. I'll just go with FF 4D 14. Okay. And just change this here. Okay. All right, so I'm just trying to do some modification. I want to make sure that all my labels are showing here, all the values. So once we look at it at first glance, we can easily get what is going on in our visual. So I'll modify that as well because I'll be turning off the background, change that to white. And then let's go to general, turn off the entire background and also change the title. Okay. So first, our title color goes to white, and then we are going to change that from this very long text that we have to something very understandable and readable by our stakeholders. So we have managerial okay. So I have managerial support. Okay, so we're going to leave it at that. So if you look at our chart here, you can easily see exactly what is going on, right? So the first thing you are going to note here, let me just improve the size of this information here, make it bold. All right. So if you look at this chart, the first thing you are going to notice here is that what? Okay, can anyone give me the representation of this chart? How are employees responding to managerial support? What do you think is the top response here? Just by looking at this chart, what do you think is the top response? Just by looking at this chart, what will you say the employees feel that the managers are doing for them in the organization? Do they feel supported? Do they feel somewhat supported? Awesome. So I can see some responses there. Yes, 55%. Amazing. Thank you for adding that particular extra information. Okay. So these individuals feel they are supported by their managers, very much so in the organization. So they are saying yes by 55%. So 22 people feel that yes, we are being supported. And then for the rest of them, I mean, about 18 of them do not feel supported in the organization, all right? So as much as we are noting the yes, that they are the majority, we'll also be considering these individuals that do not feel very much supported in the organization. Don't worry, as we finish up our chat, we'll be able to look at it very in depth, all right? So I'll go ahead and duplicate this chart, all right? Just save our time. Let's bring this over here. And we're going to look at our sense of purpose, all right? So we're going to find the information that we need. Are there opportunities, okay? Are you driven to succeed at your role, all right? Do you feel your work has meaning and contributes to the ultimate purpose or ultimate goal of the organization, all right? So we're going to look at that. Do you feel your work has meaning? Okay, so this should also reflect on our sense of purpose within the organization. So I'm just going to go ahead and bring this information in, okay? And then we're also going to look at it by the same thing, just to count the number of responses that we got in this particular area, all right? So all our information, all our font styles, everything is saved. The next thing we want to make sure to do now is to also modify the title as well as the colors of our chart to match our dashboard. So let's quickly do that. I'll just go over here and change this. Okay, then title, change that to sense of. Okay, sense of purpose. What is the sense of purpose of the employees that we have within this organization? So if you look at this, this is very clear. We only have two attributes showing on the screen, right? So what does it say about this organization? Yes, majority of the employees do feel a sense of purpose. They feel that the work they are doing is very much relevant to the organization. Whereas a little percentage of them feel like as if the information or the work they are doing might not be so relevant for the organization. So we have 17% of individuals who do not feel like they have a great sense of purpose in the organization. But we still have majority of individuals who feel their work is very much relevant to the organization or to the goals of the organization. Okay, so let's move on from that. Let's quickly look at how employees feel about their growth and development, all right? How do these employees feel about their growth and development? So we're going to bring that in as well. Let's quickly do that. I'll just uncheck this and bring in, okay? So are there opportunities to learn? Okay, so I'm just going to bring this in here, legend, and then also bring this in here to count. All right, so the same thing, let's change the colors to modify. Okay. Nicely. right? Then title, I'll just change that to growth and development. Okay, so growth and development, that's what we have here. So we've looked at some key areas, our managerial support, our sense of purpose, as well as our growth and development. And we can see all the responses that we are getting. All right, we can easily filter through all these. Once we are done with our dashboard, we look at how each of these areas impacts or influences other areas as well. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next chart that we're going to look at, which is employees' drive to success. And we're going to be looking at that by one of our attributes, which is gender. Okay, so I'll just bring in our stacked 100% stacked column chart here, drag it into position very quickly. Okay, so here we are going to look at information about the drive of our employees. How driven are they in their job role? So are you driven to succeed in your job role? So we want to know if they are actually motivated in these roles that they've taken within the organization. Okay, so I'll just put that here and here. All right, and I want to look at that by gender. Okay, so I'll just put it in here as well. Okay. All right, so we can go ahead and start modifying our charts very quickly so we can have a much clearer view of what is going on here. Okay. So I'm turning off the y-axis and I want to turn on the data label. But before I do that, I'll just modify other areas as well and make sure everything is ready for us to view. Change the legend to white. And just turn on these labels. All right, so I'll go to general. I'm fixing the title first of all. So we're looking at it by employee drive. Okay, employee drive to succeed by gender. Then change the color of that text as well. Lastly, we are going to take out the background and have some border around it, all right? So once we do that, we can see our charts even much more clearly. We can see all the information listed out there. Okay, so let me quickly apply our border and do some color modification as well. So I'll just go ahead and change this color. Okay. Okay, so to work on the colors of our column charts here, we just have a setting here that we can just work with. So I'll just be selecting each of the legend respectively and changing the colors of this legend to match exactly what we want to represent here. All right. So it looks the same with the rest of our chart and we don't have to go through the hassle of having a multicolored chart. Okay. All right, so from here now, we can see information about how driven our employees are. Looking at it by different gender, we can also see those distribution. Okay, we want to understand, are the male employees the ones that are more driven, are the female employees the ones that are most driven? So those that said they are extremely driven or moderately driven are mostly female employees, whereas the male employee take a smaller percentage of that, all right? So when it comes to lack of motivation, I think there's an individual here or some individuals here who are mostly males that believe that they lack motivation for their job. So we have burnout as well. The individual says, prefers not to say, all right, did not identify their gender, okay, has burnout at their work. So these are areas that we can also identify as well. Looking at it by gender, we also find out that some male employees are also feeling burnt out by their work. All right. So once we are done with everything, we're going to be filtering out all this information one after the other to see exactly how this makes up for uh, the influence that it might have. All right. So I'll go ahead and bring in another chart where we're going to be looking at our average satisfaction at work by age group. So I'll just modify this chart very quickly by bringing in new data. Okay, so we're looking at our work satisfaction here. Okay, by age. All right, so let's quickly modify that and get everything going. Okay, so here we can see exactly what's going on for each of these age groups. What is their job satisfaction measurement? So I'll just quickly change this from sum to average, and then also modify the header in the title area. So I have average job satisfaction by age group. Okay. And then one of our final charts here today, we're going to be looking at our employee dedication by work type. All right. So I'll just go ahead and use this exact chart here. Okay. All right. Okay, so we have our work type here, and we have all the information that we need to see. So I'll just go ahead and modify this color combination here, and then we can go ahead and look at our headers, our sliders, and we are good to go to start generating some insights from the organization. Okay. So here we have our employee dedication by work type. All right, so we want to know how dedicated our employees are, but we also want to understand which work types influences this decision. All right, so for those that are strongly committed, a lot of them work on site. For those that are moderately committed, majority of them also work on site. All right, those that work hybrid and remote as well have a smaller percentage of hybrid, have a smaller percentage of them represented under strongly committed and moderately committed. But I think everyone that says they work remote are strongly committed to their job. So this is also something to consider in terms of making room for different work type within the organization. So we can see majority that work on site have a good work relationship, and those that work remotely do not have an unwavering relationship as to how committed they are with their work. All right, so we're just going to go ahead here and change our title to make sure we don't confuse our stakeholders. And once we are done, we can go ahead and view our slicers and start interacting with our dashboard. Okay. All right, so right here now, we're going to look at some slicers to help us also break down our data sets into more meaningful insights. So I'll bring in some information like marital status. All right, so we can filter through by marital status. This will help us to understand some of the key influencers that influence some particular behaviors among our employees. All right, so we might find some patterns of behavior among married people that we might not find among single people. So these are some of the reasons why we're going to be using this information. So I'm just going to modify this very quickly. Okay, so our header, we're going to have it in. Okay. Change our settings. We want to use a drop-down list here, so it makes it much more easier to look at. I'll turn off the background, and we're going to be turning on the visual border. Change the color. Okay, so here we are going to go ahead to our value, expand that, and also change the color to white, as well as the background color to white. Okay, so change the background color to white, the font size back to black. Okay. All right, so our final modification, take out our question mark from our header name and increase this a little bit. All right. And lastly, we have education level. We're going to look at this by education level as well. So I'll just uncheck this and check education level. Education. All right. So we have basically all the information that we need. Without further ado, we need to ensure that our dashboard has a header. And that's the last thing we're going to do before we start looking at how to interact with this dashboard to actually make meaningful insights from it. So I'll go ahead to my insert tab and get my text box. All right. Once I get that in, I'm just going to be naming this as our employee engagement dashboard. All right. Okay, so I just want to expand that across and do that. All right, so let me just modify this a little, this to text. Okay. All right, and final look. All right, so we've been able to complete our dashboard. Now it's time for us to actually make sense of this particular dashboard that we built. We looked at some key areas, including managerial support system, sense of purpose within the organization, growth and development availability, and we got some honest opinion from these employees. All right, so we also even broke it down by some attributes to understand some key influencers or some patterns that might be obvious by just by looking at the data. Okay, we looked at our male and female age groups and all that, and we noticed from just our chart right now, before we start clicking anything, that we have more female employees who are very driven at their work. And also, if you look at the age group, you notice that those between 36 and 44 are more satisfied with their job, unlike other age groups. I mean, they have an average of 9.0 satisfaction rate, whereas other group have even lower, maybe 7 point something, 7.6, 7.0, and so on and so forth. And when we look at our employee dedication by work type, we notice that all the employees who are working remotely are very much dedicated with their work and very committed. And then those that work hybrid, a small portion of them are strongly committed and the rest of them are moderately committed, all right? Then we have those that work on site. I would say those that work on site are very much a larger population here, and they are very much committed with their work, all right? So we can go on and look at it by educational qualification. Let's say for those that finished, that have their master's degree, we see the number of responses that we got from those that have master's degree in the organization, all right? And we also see what is going on in the chat as well, all right? So you can see those that have master's degree in terms of drive, drive within the organization, both male and female have the same across extremely driven and moderately driven, all right? So 50% male, 50% female have the same agenda when it comes to their drive, all right? So luckily for us, we don't have anybody that does not have a strong drive, maybe burnt out or anything within this particular range. So those that have master's degree are something to look out for within the organization. We can also encourage others to upskill. Maybe this is going to help them improve their drive within their day-to-day activities or day-to-day work within the organization, all right? So before we go any further, I'm going to be sharing our form link right now, so we can also fill it and see exactly how this information is going to keep turning up and creating an automated process for us to generate insights on a daily basis, all right? So I'll send that form in, you go ahead and fill it, and once you are done, just type done in the chat. I'll go ahead and refresh this entire dashboard for us to see exactly if our sheet is going to bring in our data for us seamlessly, okay? So I'll just go ahead and get that link and paste it within our charts, right? So let me just do that very quickly. All right, so I can see someone saying, good evening, I missed the class. Please, can I get the recorded class? All right, so please go ahead and fill the attendance form. I think that's going to be the best way for you to actually get this recording, all right, and all the materials that we worked on today, all right? So I'll just go ahead and click on send. All right, so let me just send that into the chat. I will encourage just to go ahead and fill this form. Let's give it about 5 minutes. We can refresh it and see how exactly this works. All right, so I just dropped that link in the chat. So you can go ahead, click on it and start filling. Okay, click on it, fill out your information. And once you are done, we go back into our Power BI dashboard, refresh it and see if we're going to be collecting live information that will be coming in even later after we have developed our dashboard, even after we have developed our dashboard. All right, so go ahead and click on that form. All right, so someone is asking for the attendance. Don't worry, you're still going to get the attendance posted again, the attendance link posted again. All right, so you see the link from Tenalytics Enquiry in your chart. That's the attendance form. Please go ahead and click on it so you can get everything that is required for you to actually get this recording in your email. All right. All right, let's look at what's going on here. All right, you can use any role of your choice, your current role, your past role, all right, or your future role, whatever it might be, all right? You can use any role of your choice, and that's good too. Okay, so we have just one response. Okay, all right, no problem. All right, so I'm just going to paste the link to this form again. So for those of us that haven't gotten to it yet, you see my name right there in the chat, and you're going to see all the questions. Go ahead and click on it. All right, so I'll just go back to our Power BI here. Okay, so even from those two responses, we'll be able to see exactly how this is going to update for us automatically without us having to go through all the process of data cleaning, bringing in our data, creating charts all over again, just to accommodate new responses. Okay, so here I'm just going to go ahead and click on our refresh button. All right, so there's a button here on Power BI that just helps us to refresh our data source and every new information that we might be getting in over the period of time that we might want to take this entire survey. So just by going to this area here on your home tab, click on that refresh button. All right, so once you click on it, everything comes together. So just wait for that to load. Once it loads, we're going to see a new and fresh information. In fact, even our average score should also be updated. So we're waiting for that to load. And once it loads, we'll be able to see the difference here. So go ahead and input your information there so you can also participate in this amazing process. All right. So here we go. Our data set is refreshing. So now it's loading 44 more rows. All right. So let's see how that works right now. All right, so this is something that you can always come back and do whenever you are done. All right, you can create your own form, send out your survey just to monitor how this process goes. All right, monitor how this process goes. Okay, so there are also ways that you can do this effectively without even having to click the refresh button. All right, and that would be you using Power BI service. I mean, if you join this program, be able to learn how to use Power BI service to schedule automation. Let's say you want to make sure that this report gets to your manager on a particular period or on a particular time every morning. an automated report like this. You can learn how to use your Power BI service to schedule all this automation and make it as seamless as possible. So you do your work once and relax and let Power BI do the rest for you. Okay? All right. Okay, so now we can see our average score has dropped drastically. Sorry, just a little bit. Okay, so we had 7.88 and now we have 7.80. Okay, we have other information like over here. We can see some percentage increase, slight increase and decrease over here, just because of the level of responses that we have. And now we can see not committed, all right, over here. So an individual has sent in their response. I'm just going to click on it. So we'll see every other attribute that matches with this particular individual as well. All right, so one response from this individual saying managerial support, maybe, all right, their sense of purpose, maybe. So this person is not so sure about what is going on at their workplace. And then we have maybe here as well for growth and development. So definitely this is an employee that is not satisfied at their work. And these are key areas that we need to pay attention to as HR professionals to ensure that we are taking care of these individuals and we do not end up losing them. Okay. Another thing to note that this individual is a female, all right, from the response that we have here is a female, and they feel moderately driven at work, all right, and they fall under the age group of 18 to 26, all right. So we can look at areas that we can use to ensure that these individuals are highly motivated and highly excited about their work within the organization, all right. So satisfaction score, you can see that 5.0. Okay, guys, so I'm going to stop here tonight and hand over to our my colleague Damilola. So hi Damilola, you can go on and take the mic from here.
Hi everyone. Thank you so much, Mary, for that amazing session. Good evening, everyone. It's such an absolute delight to be here today. For that amazing session, can we give Mary a round of applause? I personally have learned so much, and I'm, super happy for everybody that has stayed to the end of that session as well. It has been amazing, and that's just like the 1% of everything that you're going to be gaining in the data, in the HR analytics program. All right, so in less than 10 to 15 minutes, I'm going to just quickly share my screen and then take you through the second half of the session. So 20 minutes max, we should be out of here. All right, so please let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay. All right, so Mary has taken us through employee engagement survey, basically one of the things that you are going to be doing as an HR analyst, right? And then I'm going to be talking you through why you should choose a career in HR analytics. Why exactly should you choose a career in HR analytics, right? Yeah, so the demand for HR analysts is growing rapidly, right? Companies are no longer just leaving their HR data to intuition or whatever. They are coming up with different HR roles within the company to make sense of their HR data. So demand is growing at an unprecedented rate, and this is the best time to break into this tech space. Yesterday was the last best time. Today is next best time. So what is your main role, or what are your job descriptions or your roles as an HR analyst or human resource analyst? You are somebody who is basically responsible for analyzing and interpreting HR-related data to generate insights and support data-driven decisions. Now, we can, companies are growing, they are looking for HR analysts, and with the knowledge of what you've learned today and everything that you're going to be learning in the course of the program, you'll be able to analyze and interpret HR data to generate insights and support data-driven decision within the company. This is a picture of a screen snipe of the dashboard that we just finished. Now, how then do you become a HR analyst? How do you move into this tech program, right? Without the HR analyst, you would not know what happened in the organization with regards to its workforce and why it happened. Without an HR analyst, there's nobody telling what is happening. There's nobody analyzing the HR data within the company. There's nobody with the knowledge of what has happened to the organization, to the organization's workforce and why it has happened, right? And in the UK, the average salary of an HR analyst is £40,000. In Canada, it is 71,000 Canadian dollars, and in the US, it's 73,000 US dollars, right? So the more you are able to make informed decisions with HR data for big companies, large companies, SMEs, and so on and so forth, the higher you earn in this sector. Okay, so what must you learn to become an HR analyst? What must you learn to, be able to boast or to rightfully say, oh, I'm an HR analyst, right? You need to firstly learn problem solving, because as an HR analyst or as an HR analyst, you're going to be using the company's workforce data to solve problems within the company. For example, say attrition. Attrition is people leaving the company. Now, as an HR analyst, you're going to be using data to say, okay, why are people leaving the company? What's the reason behind, employees coming in and dropping off within 3 months and so on and so forth? That's the kind of problem that you're going to be solving as an HR analyst. So your key learning areas will be number one, problem solving. You learn different problem solving techniques, talking about CRISP, DM, and so on and so forth. Then you learn Excel, how to build reports and dashboards using Excel. You learn formulas and functions in Excel, the different, research tools within Excel, and so on and so forth. And these are things that we take from scratch. You're not even going to be learning it from the maybe middle or intermediate level. You learn from the beginning, as in what is Excel, as in what is this thing used for in Excel. Which are the things I'm going to be learning. You also learn Power BI. You've seen a little bit of what you can use Power BI to do today. Now imagine the numerous things that you can use Power BI for, right? So these are things that you need to learn. You also need to learn SQL, structured query language, which is the language of databases, right? Because as an HR analyst, you're going to be working with the company's HR or human resource or people database, right? And what's the point of, calling yourself an analyst if you don't know how to use structured query language, which is the language of database, right? And then you move forward into HR evaluation and performance evaluation and HR analytics. You learn the different HR life cycles, projects, and HR metrics that you need to know as an HR analyst. You learn HR analysis and dashboarding, how to build HR dashboard. What you just did today is a little bit of HR dashboard. And this is part of what you're going to be learning as well. You learn collaboration and reports automation within different tools. You learn how to build your case and create your action, how to present your case to the company, to the stakeholders. Then you also learn ChatGPT for analytics. And different things I need to be learning as an HR analyst. And what is your learning timeline? You have it's within 4 months, and you can successfully call yourself an HR analyst, right? So you have 3 months of intensive learning where you're coming to class every weekend. We made it weekend so that people that have their 9 to 5 can, come to class on Saturdays and enjoy class peacefully without any, what have you, or distractions. So you learn for 3 months, live classes for 3 months, and then 1 month of internship, which is free. You get to do 1 month of intensive internship, which is very free. So live classes are on Saturdays, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. and 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. West African time. Okay, and then we have something that we call the self-paced watch me read videos that we do on Sundays, and these are videos that we have, and we're going to be making available to you to explain various concepts that would give you more, throw more light and give you more explanation to things that are going to be done in class. So our classes are purely case study based. Okay, so on Saturday, if you come to class to work on real life case studies, where you're going to be analyzing real life HR data, doing performance evaluation, working on attrition case studies, and then on Sundays we send you watch me do videos that explain various concepts in class. Okay, and when we say HR analytics, we're not just we have like diverse career paths that you can select from as an HR analyst. You've got workforce planning analyst, you can work as a reward analyst, you can work as a talent analyst, you can work as compensation and benefit analyst, you can work as HR data analyst, succession analyst, and so on and so forth. There are so many diverse career paths that you can work with, career title that you can work with. One mistake that some people make is that they, learn as HR analyst and then they go on to start looking for jobs that are specifically HR analyst, titled HR analyst. Meanwhile, you can go on any job board and literally like type in talent analyst, and with your skills still apply for the same job. So these are things that we're going to teach you in the course of the program so that you don't make mistakes like this. Okay. And I also like to talk about why people struggle in this search for jobs, literally because they put the cart before the horse. Now, people they expect that, they can start to apply for these roles without the skills. It's not possible. You need to be able to tell the company, okay, this is what I know how to do. You come with your evidence. You don't just come in to say, okay, I can work as an HR analyst. What are the projects that you've worked on previously? Where is your evidence? These are the things that people need to put at the forefront before they say, okay, I am an HR analyst and all of those things. So competence before credentials is one thing that we preach a lot here at Analytics. You're not just coming to get certified or get a certificate here. You're going to be learning the skills, like literally everything that you need to know how to do as an HR analyst. We will equip you with knowledge on all the tools, both soft skills, both technical skills, and so on and so forth, right? And then we'll teach you how to apply to jobs, because you see people applying to different jobs using one CV. We believe that's like a taboo here at Analytics, right? Because it does not work that way. So we'll teach you how to, tailor your CV different ways to different job roles and so on and so forth, right? And then we'll teach you how to apply to jobs, various jobs, and how to go through all of that. So yeah, some of our success stories. Like I said earlier, we're not just people that come and talk. We talk and then we have evidence to back these things up. So yeah, some of the success stories that we have, for example, Victor Yoshino, who is an alumni, right? He got a job with Ugo he lives in Lagos, Nigeria, but he got a job with Ugo in Illinois, Chicago, Illinois, as a people operations analyst. 2 months after he started his program. Like, that is one, thing that like we really boast of. As long as you come here 100% committed and all of that, would also like meet you halfway. We also have Maureen, who landed a full-time job with TELUS in Canada as an HR data analyst. We've got Sonia. Sonia landed a job as an HR analyst in the UK with American Tobacco, right? And then there's Olajide. There's a lot of them. We're going to send you these slides, and you can, go through these slides to look at all of these people and hear what they have to say about Analytics. This is Damilare. I'm just going to click on one of these videos and would watch together. Yeah, for some weird reasons that's not clicking. Okay, yeah, so let's just move ahead. But these are like a lot of testimonials that we have gathered over time, people that have gone through our program, a lot of them. Obviously, we cannot squeeze all of them inside this slides, but like a lot of them, if you go on our LinkedIn profile, LinkedIn, you see different testimonials. If you go on YouTube, you see different videos of people talking about how they landed their jobs after taking their program with Tenalytics. Okay, so this is another person, Uthman. Uthman landed a job, a full-time job with NHS UK as a business intelligence officer right after training with Tenalytics on the data analytics program. Victor is from HR. Victor is from HR. Lajide is from HR. We've got Sonia, HR as well. Maureen, HR. Thelma. There's a lot of them that we can't even, put together in one place. So this is the next best time to jump on this opportunity. And our next program is going to be starting on the 4th of May 2024. Okay, 4th of May 2024. And again, why should you train with Tenalytics? Check out our achievements in 2023. We helped over 850 plus people transition from the classroom into their first job in tech across UK, US, Canada, Europe, and Asia. It goes on and on and on. Nigeria, Asia, and so on and so forth, right? And then, why again should you train with Tenalytics? We've got up-to-date curriculum. We are always updating our curriculum. Then we have industry experts with hands-on experience. We do not bring people that do not have experience to come and tutor you. We bring in people that have gone through they've gone through the path, and then they will show you the road. They say that you should follow people that know road, which is very important in this tech industry. Okay, so we bring in industry experts with hands-on experience. We also use a blended training delivery approach to accommodate every single person. So if you are somebody who does not like to, you have short attention span, we've got you covered. We've got you covered in a way that you would learn and even be happy with the way that you're learning. If you're somebody who cannot stay too long with videos, you get tired easily, you can come to class and learn live and direct. If you're somebody who likes to watch directly videos, pause and play, we also have you covered. So blended training delivery to accommodate every type of learning approach. We also have additional employability services, which I'm gonna, talk on more later. Then we have the internship designed to simulate the real world environment. And and all of these things come together to make you an industry ready tech professional. Okay, so how we position you for success in the job market in a 3-layered approach. We have the additional employability services I just talked about like a few seconds ago. The CV review sessions where we bring in experts to teach you how to write your CV. Very important, because it's one thing to be able to learn the skills. It's another thing to be able to tailor your CV to reflect the skills that you've learned. So we'll teach you how to write your CV. We have CV review sessions for our participants. We also have LinkedIn optimization session, which is a very important. LinkedIn is like one of the major places where you can find jobs. And it's one thing to have LinkedIn profile. It's another thing to have LinkedIn profile that is working for you, because some people, they've got their LinkedIn profile, it's just there, it's not really doing much for them. Meanwhile, every day you go on LinkedIn, you see people saying, starting a new job. The way that they would usually start this new job is by having optimized LinkedIn. So we teach you how to optimize your LinkedIn profile. Also teach you Upwork optimization. This is a session where people who do not want to work with other people, or you're looking like for a side hustle, or you want to be a boss of your own, Upwork is a place where you can earn. If you're in Nigeria, you want to work for people abroad, sign up on Upwork, start to apply for gigs, you earn gigs, and so on and so forth. So that's how it works. Okay, so we have LinkedIn Upwork optimization to teach people how to use Upwork to earn in foreign currency. Then we also have navigating job market sessions where we bring in experts that teach you how to navigate the job market. We have job and interview preparation sessions. You've worked on your CV, you have an outstanding LinkedIn profile, you've applied for a role, they've called you for an interview. The next thing is to contact us. Hello, Tenalytics, I have an interview, this and that. We'll organize preparation session for you, we'll stimulate a real life interview session, give you feedbacks, you go to your interview, and then from there you call us, you've gotten the job. That's like how it works here. Okay, then we also have recommendation or reference letter. We write reference letter all the time. If somebody has gotten a job and they need a reference letter, we'll provide you with a reference letter if you've gone through our program, free of charge. Okay, then the level 2 is the weekly mentorship sessions, where every single week we have mentorship sessions. Our last mentorship session was a body mentorship session where we brought in people that have gone through the program and they've gotten their jobs to come and teach people that are currently going through the program how they did it. When I said earlier that you're basically going to be following people that have gone through this process before and they've excelled in it, I was not kidding you. Okay, so again, mentorship is very important in this tech field because you can't just be all over the place trying to gather things on your own. It's stressful. You get burnt out or burned out. And before you know, you just drop in and move on to something else. But if you have somebody that you're following, if you have people that have evidence that you're following their process, it's much more easier. If you have a community, it's much more easier, right? So we have the weekly mentorship sessions that would cover for all of this. And then we have the on-the-job support for like a month after you got in your job. If you ever need support in any area, we'll offer that support to you. Then in level 3 is our promise to you, which is a guaranteed job interview 1 month after completing your training program with us at Tenalytics. We are partnering with different HR companies, resource recruitment companies to come and interview our participants, and also like after you've completed your training with us. So we have the Tenalytics Growth Internship Program where you get to work on you get a dedicated coach assigned to you to help you through the 1 month internship. And this is to help you build your portfolio. Portfolio is also very important in this line of work, right? Because you need to provide evidence of what you've done. You need to let people see what you've done. And that's the only way they can see it is through your portfolio. So through this 1 month internship, you get to build your portfolio, allowing you to garner real life work experience that even if you've never worked as an HR analyst and you get to an interview and they tell you, oh yeah, give us example of HR data that you've worked on. And you get to say, oh, so yes and yes, in this particular company, I was able to do a performance evaluation for their employees and so on and so forth. This is the kind of bragging rights that this internship gives you. Okay, so new additions for 2024. I talked about the body mentorship sessions. We also have enhanced interview and internship experience and so on and so forth. Then I also mentioned the partnership with recruitment agencies to ensure that you get a free interview with experts, real HR people that are currently working with, we're currently partnering with Age Recruitment, Robert Alf, Ave Nash, Michael Page, Adecco, Manpower, and so on and so forth to bring you the best of the best. Now, our next course is coming up 4th of May 2024. And if you register now, you get to you get the opportunity of taking 33% off of the fee, right? You're supposed to pay 100%, but because we are people who are very, trying to get as many people into tech as possible, you get to pay 33%. You get to pay take off 33% off of your training fee. Okay. For the HR analytics program, if you're paying in dollars, you're paying $750 in full amount, right? In full amount, it is $750. But if you are one of the first 20 people to pay, you get to pay just $600. Okay, so you also get to pay in 2 installments pay for $50 first, and then you pay $150 1 month into your program. Okay, you're paying in pounds. Instead of paying £625, you get to pay £500. That is £125 off. Okay, so you're paying to start, you're paying £350, and then 1 month into the program, you pay £150. If you're paying in euro, you're paying euros. You're paying $475. That's $350 first, then $125 later. You're paying in card, instead of paying 1,125 Canadian dollars, you guys pay $750. You're paying $550 first, and then you're paying $200 1 month into the program. If you're paying Naira, instead of paying 900,000, you pay 600,000. Now, payment to start the class, you pay $450, and then second a month into the program, you pay 150,000 Naira. Now, first installment is to be paid on or before 30th of April. This is today is 20. Oh yeah, just trying to check the dates. Yeah, I just can't get, yeah, I think today is 19 or so. So you still have time to pay before the class, before 30th of April. And then your second installment is to come in on or before 30th of May. So my colleague is dropping a link in the chat for people who would like to copy that and, you know, paste it for them to make their payments. Or you can also, like, you know, when you click on the link to pay online, you can pay with your card. So you click on the https://mainstack.me.enroll10analytics, and once you make your payments, you get the chance to, you get the prompts to fill a form. You fill the form, we'll send you your welcome kit, and yeah, it's welcome to Analytics. So this is literally the process. And remember, the 33% off is only for the first 20 people to register. If you want to be able to take this 33% opportunity, you need to make your payments as soon as possible. Because once we get the first 20 people, we close out, and every other person is going to be paying 100%, nothing off. Okay. Some of our participants work in companies like Cognizant, Frasers, P&G, Orthoglass, Ecobank, Glow, Paystack, First Bank. It goes on and on and on and on like that, right? So some different places that our participants work, and we've also like made a lot of impact in the last 2 years, right? We've helped a lot of people transition into tech. We've helped a lot of people. We've organized a couple of hackathons where people came in to win full money. Okay, so it can be you, it can be me in the next couple of days. It depends on your. It can be you, it can be you in the next couple of days. Depends on your action now. Okay. So are you ready to gain premium technology skills? This is the time to get started. So yeah, at this point, we have come to the end of the session. If you have any questions for us, please feel free to raise your hand, use the raise an icon, or better still, drop your questions in the chat. But preferably the raise an icon so that we can get you to unmute yourself and ask your questions. Okay, so that we can call it a very, very, very productive day. Any questions for us at Chainalytics? Please feel free to use the chat to drop your questions, or you can use the raise hand icon. Okay, so I'm also going to take us through how to make payments. Right here on my screen is the enrollment page. So if you scroll down, you'd see you can get access to all our program brochure. You know, if you click on this, you find the HR Analytics brochure there. Then if you keep scrolling down, you would find the direct transfers. If you want to make transfer, you find the account numbers from different banks there. Okay, then you can also make your card payments online. You can just scroll to the HR analytics. Once you click on HR analytics, it takes you to HR analytics, the payments page, and you can, yeah, go ahead and make your payments. If you're going to be making the first payments, already know the amounts to pay, and from there we move on to getting you started in the program. So I hope that's quite explanatory. Yes, do we have any questions whatsoever for us? I promised 10 to 15 minutes, and yeah, we are done. Okay, then, so in the absence of no questions, we're going to be having more sessions coming up where you can ask your questions. We have one-on-one sessions coming up. Please feel free to sign up for the sessions. And yeah, this is what we're going to into a perfect day. Please do well to enjoy the rest of your, have a very lovely night. So if you're in the morning, have a very lovely morning or afternoon. Yeah, I would definitely love to see you guys in class. So cheers, everyone, and bye.